Alright, game plan for November 10th. Super easy game plan. I actually would not consider us overextended here because being overextended has to be bound to some sort of time frame. And this vertical structure here is just simply how we've been moving high time frame wise. So yeah, just looking to keep it simple, looking for a little low time frame misalignment into middle high time frame continuation buys. You could say like, oh, we're overextended relative to this, but at that point you're reaching a bit of a point of irrelevance, in my opinion. Just not smart to take sells in this sort of condition. As for DXY, high time frame would have to consider it range bound. It opened with a bit of a gap here. You'd have to expect something like that, but you know, maybe that's reaching. We'll just keep an eye on it. Typically when gold is so directionally bullish like this, it doesn't really matter what DXY is doing, because gold's universal value, there's so much volume on that itself that it essentially renders any volume on DXY negligible. Obviously not entirely, but you definitely need to take that into account. But yeah, like, this is our structure, guys. This is just simply how we've been moving, so we're not overextended. I'm only going to look for buys, if anything, tonight. I'm genuinely contemplating a sell here, and I'll go over why in a second. It just kind of depends what happens these next few seconds, really. Now I need to be wary of that 05 candle. I remember that, so I don't like how we've pulled down already. Here's that 05 candle. This would be a really just intuitive entry. Fuck it. I just entered. TP is actually below this low, so actually I'm not gonna get caught up over a few pips. I'll pull that up. All right, just gonna go over the sell that I took during the second hour of Asia last night. To start off, is this the best way to trade this condition? Absolutely not. Is it even close to the best? No. In my opinion, I'll just get this out of the way right now. What is the highest probability way to trade a vertical structure like this? It's simply low time frame misalignment into middle high time frame continuations all day long, because we're not overextended here, right? Overextension has to be relative to a certain time frame, and if this is just how we're pushing high time frame wise, right? Obviously it isn't 3 days, this was over the weekend, but last probably day and a half or so we've just been vertically bullish, high time frame bullish. That's just the nature of the structure right now. So if we're up here anywhere like that, you know, that's just how we're pushing. We're not overextended relative to the high time frame. Yeah. So yeah, in my opinion, the easiest, highest probability way to scalp a vertical condition like this is, let's just say middle time frame is pushing like this, quite vertically. You wait for a low time frame misalignment into an area where you could naturally expect price to continue with the middle time frame, and of course also the high time frame in this context here, because we're just absolutely vertical across multiple different time frames, so that's all the better. But why is entering on an inverse shift like this so effective? Well, one, obviously we're overextended relative to this low time frame structure here, so you're expecting a pullback, like you're expecting a correction of that move, but also you have the added likelihood that we're just going to blow through and continue, because we're also in alignment with the middle high time frame that's pushing like this, right? We're just stacking probabilities that price is going to continue, and then we're taking the low time frame move because we want, high probabilities, nice little scalp up to just below 50% of that. So in my opinion, that's the easiest, highest probability way to trade these conditions. I decided to do the exact opposite tonight. I wouldn't recommend anyone do that, but let's get into this. So here's the trade. Middle time frames against us, high time frames against us, candle behaviors against us. We're entering pretty much red on open here, and we're reversing. So there are three cons to the trade. Why did I feel comfortable taking this? Simply because I was comfortable with the idea of losing it, to be honest. I really liked the low time frame behavior, and I was willing to take a quick scalp based off of that, and I recognized it was lower probability than I would have liked, but yeah, took it anyways. I don't think it's a very good entry. Wouldn't recommend anyone take it, but I'll explain why. To start off, just before hourly open, began getting some pretty decent low time frame selling volume relative to the buying volume. So at this point, second hour of Asia opens, I know we're already getting some decent low time frame volume coming in, and now I'm watching the proportion of the tick candles on open, because we all know that when a new hourly candle opens, for some reason in particular, it seems to really happen at Asia 2. We get this just strong manipulation in both directions, really, before ultimately making our initial displacement off of the open. And what I've realized is that based off of the proportion of the tick candles or of the lower time frame candles, I'm sure you could use seconds candles as well, but based off of the proportion of these candles, you can make a relatively accurate assessment of where that initial displacement will go quite consistently. Now, it's a lot more consistent when you have higher time frame alignment. Here, obviously, we have time frame stacked against us, which made this quite low probability, obviously candle behavior wise as well. But I do believe that low time frame and low time frame, where we are scalping the next couple of minutes, I do believe that low time frame and low time frame are the most, like, they're the heaviest weighted confluences in any entry. So yeah, I'll go over how I decided to enter this. We opened right in here, had this manipulation of the upside, but the pull down was just disproportionately strong to that manipulation up. So at that point, I'm thinking, okay, maybe if we get an adequate reaction with decent low time frame relativity, of course, I may look to enter sells. So yeah, we get this pullback up here, and I'll go to the entry screenshot now. Get this pullback up here. Wasn't super convinced at anything in here, especially where I knew that when the 5-minute candle opens, we'll likely get some manipulation, very similar to that loss that I took maybe a week and a half ago, where I entered kind of just before that 5-minute manipulation occurred, and I ended up getting stopped out. So waited through here, wasn't too decisive, but I was still just keeping in mind that, one, we had this move just before any of this, and two, that the tick proportion was favoring sells. So yeah, 5-minute opened, manipulated to the upside, and then just on the break of these lows here, right, we experienced some resistance here. We're already within this volume shift, and yeah, just entered as we began pushing to the downside on that 5-minute candle. Take profit, really conservative. Stop, really risk aversive as well, just right above that high. I was willing to test that out, once again, mainly because I didn't really care if it lost. I was accepting of that, and I knew it would be kind of a good training exercise for my intuition on the tick chart. So yeah, I'm not upset I took it, but I recognize it's not a good trade.